Assalamualaikum and good day. We are from Group 41 and we'll be presenting a case analysis on VELESTO's NAGA 7 rig. Our group consists of 4 members, which is me, Rin Sofia, Muhammad Arina Daniel, Muhammad Zikril Hakim, and Zakwan Akmal. We will be covering the introduction, case discussion, technical and engineering issues, ethical issues and concerns, recommendation, and conclusion. Without further ado, I will pass the presentation to the next presenter.
Starting off with the introduction. In May 2021, VELESTO's NAGA 7 jack-up rig was positioned off the coast of Sarawak to drill the Salam 3 appraisal well for ConocoPhillips. An appraisal well is a test well to see how much oil or gas is in a field. During setup, the rig suffered a catastrophic punch-through event. A sudden soil failure caused one leg to plummet through a weak seabed layer. Within 24 hours, the entire premium rig was submerged. The miracle of this disaster is that there are 0 fatalities, and all 101 crew members were evacuated safely. However, the loss of the multi-million-dollar asset remains a stark reminder of the thin line between success and catastrophe. Today, we will discuss the events and the technical engineering failures in detail, the ethical implications under the REA 1967, and our recommendations to ensure such a failure never happens again.
On 3rd May 2021, the NAGA 7 rig experienced a sudden punch-through while jacking up at the Salam 3 well in Sarawak. This showed that even with modern planning, offshore drilling still faces major uncertainties in seabed and geotechnical conditions. Despite the rig tilting and partially submerging the next day, all 101 crew members were safely evacuated. This highlights how strong emergency procedures and communication can prevent loss of life, even when the asset cannot be saved. Following the incident, VELESTO declared the rig a total loss and activated insurance processes, recovering about 560.9 million ringgit. This demonstrates how financial risk management systems like hull and machinery and P&I coverage play a crucial role in offshore operations. Finally, Boskalis Malaysia was appointed to complete the wreck removal using a heavy lift vessel with full site clearance certified by the Marine Department in September 2024. This shows the scale of resources and coordination required to meet environmental and regulatory obligations after major offshore incidents.
Moving on to the technical and engineering factors behind the NAGA 7 incident. First, looking at what happened. The failure is identified as a punch-through failure. This occurs when the Spatcan foundation of the jack-up rig initially rests on a stiff soil layer but suddenly penetrates into the weaker clay layer below. When this happens, the leg can penetrate rapidly, which creates a higher risk of rig tilting or instability. Next, the geotechnical mechanism relates to the soil profile in the Sarawak offshore region. So the seabed commonly consists of the Holocene wedges, where sand or silt overlays the soft clay, creating a two-soil layer system. In this condition, a punching shear failure may occur when the upper layer can no longer support the load. From the engineering perspective, the stability of the rig depends on the bearing capacity of the soil. If the preload applied to the rig exceeds the ultimate bearing capacity, the can suddenly penetrate into the weak layer. If the penetration rate becomes faster than the rig's jacking system can control, the structure may become unstable. Moving on to the legal and professional perspective, based on the Registration of Engineers Act 1967, it is requires that the professional engineering service such as site-specific assessment and leg penetration analysis must be carried out by the qualified professional engineers. Engineers must also exercise a proper due diligence, as negligence could lead to a disciplinary action by the Boards of Engineers Malaysia. Overall, this case highlights that the failure was not only a geotechnical issue but also involved professional engineering responsibility and compliance with the engineering standards.
Next, we will discuss the ethical issues associated with the NAGA 7 incident. Engineering failures are not always purely technical. In many cases, they also involve ethical responsibilities related to professional judgment, decision making, and risk management. First, engineering failures often go beyond technical causes. While technical errors may occur, engineers are also responsible for making sound decisions under pressure, especially in high risk environments such as offshore operations. Second, there is the issue of professional competence and duty of care. Engineers have an ethical obligation to exercise reasonable skill, care, and diligence when performing their work. This includes conducting proper site-specific assessments, soil investigations, and lake penetration analysis before rig installation. Third, the adequacy of the investigation is an important ethical consideration. If soil data is limited, outdated, or not independently verified, proceeding with rig jacking operations without further analysis may indicate a lapse in professional prudence and responsible engineering practice. Finally, engineers also have a duty to prevent foreseeable failures. Ethical engineering does not only focus on preventing injuries, but also on minimizing structural damage, environmental harm, and financial consequences whenever risk can reasonably be anticipated. Overall, these ethical issues highlight that engineering decisions must balance both technical knowledge and responsible professional judgment. Building on those ethical issues, we can now examine several key ethical concerns raised by the incident. The first concern relates to professional competence and due diligence. Engineers must ensure that soil data used for analysis is sufficient, properly verified, and conservative enough to account for uncertainties. In offshore environments with layered seabed conditions, adequate safety margins are critical to prevent structural instability. The second concern involves transparency and risk communication. Any irregularities in soil data or uncertainties in analysis should be clearly communicated and escalated to relevant stakeholders. Failure to communicate these limitations may result in decision makers underestimating the actual risk involved. The third concern is the conflict between commercial pressure and professional responsibility. Offshore drilling operations involve extremely high operational costs, which can create pressure to proceed quickly with installation or operations. However, ethical engineering practice requires that safety, structural integrity, and risk management always takes priority over financial or scheduling pressures. Therefore, ethical judgment is just as important as technical expertise when operating in high-risk offshore engineering environments.
There are 5 recommended actions to prevent a similar event from happening again. First, we must establish a specialized BEM competency to ensure only verified experts sign off on high-risk assessments. Second, there should be a mandatory third-party review of all soil analysis to keep commercial pressures away from ethical safety. Third, there should be a real-time monitoring system with automated interlocks that stop operations the moment a leaked spud can sinks too fast. Fourth, we must legally and ethically cultivate a moral culture to protect engineers who exercise their right to halt unsafe work. And finally, companies should replace nearby historical mapping data with high-resolution site-specific borings at every spud can rig lake location.
To conclude, the VELESTO NAGA 7 incident highlights the geotechnical risks involved in the offshore jackup rig operations, particularly the punch-through failure caused by the complex seabed conditions. Although the rig was lost with an estimated insurance claim of 560.9 million ringgit Malaysia, the successful evacuation of all 101 crew members demonstrate the effectiveness of the modern offshore safety systems. This case also emphasized the importance of professional engineering governance under the Registration of Engineers Act 1967, ensuring that qualified engineers manage high-risk offshore projects. Overall, the incidents remind us that offshore engineering must prioritize safety, proper geotechnical investigation, and strict regulatory compliance to prevent similar failures in the future.